Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In today's video, we're going to be diving in and starting December Daily 2025. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, so if you missed it, I shared a video earlier this month with my setup to my December Daily album. I am using this 4x4 it's like 4.5 by 4.5 square album from Jamaica Makes. And I created my title page and my reason why. And my reason why this year is to celebrate the simple joys. If you don't know that much about me, I am a empty nester. My only daughter is 20 years old. She is a junior in college and she lives on her own in an apartment locally where she attends college locally to where I live. I am a full-time attorney and my life is pretty busy, but I don't have little kids at home. I don't have a big family, and my significant other doesn't love Christmas and also doesn't love being on the internet. So while he will show up in my album, I won't be able to share those particular pages. But he's not really that into Christmas anyway. So for me, Christmas is not as big and full as it is for a lot of other people. Instead, I'm focusing on the simple patterns and joys and things, routines in this time of year. So I am actually not Christian. I'm actually Jewish, and I was raised doing Christmas because I grew up in an area where there were really no Jewish people. But for me, it's more just about the joy of the season and all the pretty stuff and the decorations and the quiet time and the family time and giving and all of those things. So that's what I hope to kind of document in my album this year. If you are new here, I have been doing December Daily for a really long time. I think my very first album was in 2012, and I have shared flip throughs of a lot of my previous albums, I think starting maybe with like 2019 here on my YouTube channel, and I have shared process videos as I put together my albums for the past few years. So if you caught that, I have a full-time job. So filming and working on this project every day is not that realistic. What I've done in the past is just kind of film in clumps and share it with you. I'm going to do the same this year. You can see I'm also doing a smaller album this year, so I'm purposely making this easier for me because my life is so busy right now and I am working full-time and my job is very demanding at this point in time. So that obviously has to come first because it supports me, and this unfortunately does not. But I do still want to make time to prioritize this album. So how my videos are going to go this year. My plan is to share about one video a week where I'm going to put together a number of pages. My plan for this specific video is to be days 1 through 6. And while I work on this, I'm actually going to share a little bit of the behind the scenes in terms of how I'm making this doable. So today is November 30th, Sunday, November 30th. Tomorrow's December 1st. But while I do 25 daily stories, sometimes the story doesn't actually happen on that day. And that happens frequently in the beginning of the album because there are a few stories that happen in November and I want to document them in my album, but my album starts December 1st. Tomorrow is a work day and I'm going to work the first 5 days of December. So I won't have much time to work on this album. So what I'm going to do today is document day 1 and set myself up for success for a few of the upcoming stories. So what I hope to accomplish in these videos is not only sharing with you my process of how I put together my pages, but a little bit of like how I work it into my daily life. Hopefully that will work. We'll see. So let's talk about day 1. Oh, before I dive into that though, I will add timestamps in these videos so you can skip just to the process video portion if you're not interested in the kind of behind the scenes aspect. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to fit every little thing in, but we'll see as these videos evolve. So if you guys didn't participate in prep day, I shared a lesson in prep day where I created a free, well, it's not free because you have to buy prep day, but an included digital download with that class where you can get a calendar for the month to help you plan. I have seen people use these by putting them in their albums. There's a variety of sizes. You can get a Monday or a Sunday start. There's a lot of different options. I print the 8.5 by 11 and I use this to help me during the month be prepared for this project. So this is kind of a lifesaver for me because I don't have time to work on this every day. So what I'm going to do right now on December 30th is start writing some things in. So I'm putting for day 1, it's going to be about decorating and my new ornaments. Based on the weather report, Tuesday is most likely going to be about snow. So I'm going to prep that page. I'm not going to put a number on it because it has not happened yet and the weather is unpredictable. We are supposed to get like 7 inches of snow. So my guess is that's going to be my story that day, but we'll see. I also have scheduled Christmas cookie baking on the 13th with my daughter. So that will likely be that story. And what I've done here is I wrote out some of the stories that I want to tell, and I share more about my setup for this calendar in that lesson in prep day. So if you do have that class, you can go ahead and watch those videos separately and download the calendar. If you don't have that class, it's still only $5. And even though prep day has already happened, everything's recorded and there's tons of downloads and things. So it is still a very useful class if you missed it. Okay, so then the Christmas cookie baking is scheduled. So I'm just gonna put a line. First snow is scheduled, home decor is scheduled. But honestly, the decor, Christmas tree and stuff, I sometimes document those more than once, depending from different perspectives. So this is kind of the setup I have. I cross out the last few days of December because I only document through the 25th. So I need 25 stories. And so this is kind of my starting point. Now let's move on to my album. So for my album is 4.25 inches squares, and I printed 2 photos for day 1. I'm gonna do a full page spread for day 1. And because I'm doing such a small album, some of my days are gonna go all the way across, other days will be just on one side and keeping it super simple. So it's gonna just depend on the story I wanna tell and how it comes together. I also have been very drawn lately to photography, and I think that some of my pages are really going to focus on that, and that might even be one of my stories. I've just been really enjoying pulling out my camera and taking photos of like the smaller details, and I actually want to pull out my large camera. I've been using my my iPhone, which has a great camera, but I think I might actually want to pull out my real camera and try some photos. So in my setup video, I created this template. So I have this to punch the holes, but what I need to decide is kind of where do I want these to go? Do I want them to be like this or like this? And I'm leaning towards like this for 2 reasons. 1, I want my cat looking in towards the middle of the album rather than if it's like this, he's looking away. And then 2, because I have to punch holes, I want the holes to be in the tree, not in him. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this and put the holes, actually before I put the hole on here, I need to adhere it to there. But let me just decide how I want to do this page. So I was thinking about how I want to add my journaling, and I decided to use a 3x4 card as an insert. So I wanted to add my journaling on here. So what I did was I went and typed it up on my computer. So here we go. And how I want, trying to figure out how I want to actually do this. I think I'm just gonna have to cut it. But the problem is I don't want to waste this whole thing. I want to be able to put this through my printer again. So I'm just going to try my best to cut just what I need so that I can use more of this. And the ink seems to have smeared on the edge there, but I think that's okay. The rest, the actual typing seems to be dry. I'm just going to cut off that part with the ink. I'm just trying not to get it on my fingers so I don't smear it everywhere. There we go. That does not look straight, unfortunately. Let's see. I know this side is straight. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna just stick this guy in here. And in this video, I'm probably gonna do some with music and voiceover, some as I talk through my process, just depending on the page and how I'm feeling. Let's just stick this guy down. There we go. And now I have my journaling. So my plan is to have this like this, and then you need to flip this over. There's gonna need to be something on the back there. So I'm gonna go through my filler cards or my 3x4 cards and pick something to go there. So I love these colors, but that's too much. Some of these, so like this and this are digitals from Geraldine C. I believe I bought them in a previous year. Well, I know I bought them in a previous year. I don't remember which year. And I printed them thinking that I could use them in my album, but I do still have the digitals if I want to use them differently. I liked the idea of this one, but I think I want to go with that one. I love how it looks. I think it's super cute. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. What I need to do though is create a way to adhere this to my album. And to do that, I need some hole punches. Okay, so I went over into my stash and I found this scrap of transparency. And I think what I'm gonna do is use this to punch some holes. So let's see if that works. So what I need to do first is use my template here and see how much I need. So it looks like I need 2.5 inches. So I'm gonna crop this to 2.5 inches. And then I don't need that wide. I think maybe I'm gonna do probably an inch. Okay, so hopefully this works. And then I'm gonna take my template here and I'm just gonna clip this on here. So I'm gonna put it so it's where I want it. And then I'm gonna get a little clip here and stick it there to hold it in place. Then I'm gonna punch these holes. Okay, so before I go any further, I'm just gonna make sure that that fits smoothly in my rings. There we go. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, which is going to be the back, and lay it right here. And this is only 4 inches tall. This is 4 1/4, so this can't go all the way to the top. We got to go like that. And then I'm going to take some rolling adhesive. And I need to put this on here so that those holes go where I need them to be. There we go. Okay, now just to make it a little extra sturdy, I'm gonna use some red line tape as well. There we go. Here's my little page. And I can see I didn't line it up perfectly on that side, or it probably did. It was just the other one was a little smaller because it was a printable, and so it wasn't cut exactly at 3 inches. So I'm just gonna trim it like that. There we go. And I thought about adding a tab on here as well, but I don't think I'm gonna do that because I think it already looks pretty busy. But essentially this is gonna be my spread now, like this. Now I just need to decide how I want to add my number. And I think what I want to do is put the number right here. I want like a large 1. So I'm going to pull over my numbers. If you missed in my planning video, I talked about how I organize my numbers, but essentially I have them in these little envelopes. And these are older from the Story Kit subscription. So I just have, I guess, 27 envelopes. I have 0 through 25, and then I have one for numbers above 25, and I smeared the 1 there, but I stamped on them. So now I just need to find the number I want, and I think it was that easy. Okay, so now I need to get this in the album. So let me adhere this back to back. Okay, so I just quickly want to explain why I'm using 2 different hole punches. This one can punch through something thicker like acetate. This one can't, but it's a bigger hole, so things turn more smoothly when I use this one. So I use this one when I can. If I can't, I'm going to use this one. Sometimes I will punch 2 holes next to each other to make it a little bit bigger. Or if I really need to, I can punch it with the small hole and then punch on top of that with the large hole, and it makes it a little bit easier to punch. Okay. So now we have a day 1 in the album. Okay, well that's fun. And I love this picture, which I was super excited to use. And I guess I could put an embellishment in the middle of that, but I'm not sure if I want to or if that's gonna be too much. So I'm just gonna try a few things and see what it looks like. So I'm leaning towards adding some sort of decoration on here, as you can tell. I feel like it looks more finished with something. I kind of liked the idea of this one, but I don't know that the sentiment works. Well, it does. I liked these 2 together, finding joy in the season, but I feel like the finding joy gets a little lost in the picture, so I'm not going to do that one. Although I could do Christmas in this season, like this. Now I think that those get lost. So I think it's between one of these colorful words in the middle or the all is calm. And I think I'm gonna go with the colorful word because I feel like it fits the story better, like the sentiment. So either joyful or merry. I'm gonna go with the joyful because I don't love that I'm covering up this pink one because that is one that I really like. But I think it just makes the page look more complete, and it pulls in the colors from the other side. Even though this is Allie Edwards and this is Geraldine side, they look like they go together. So I like it. Okay, so day 1 is done. Now I'm gonna just clean up a little bit here. Put my numbers away. Back to this, and on here I like to just get a highlighter and highlight it when it's done. Okay, now let's talk about the rest of the days. So I have days 1 through 6 I'm working on in this first video, and that takes me through the next Saturday. So next Saturday, I know I'm gonna have time to work on that. So that's probably when I'm gonna finish up this video. Is either Saturday or Sunday next weekend. But as far as during this week, I'm just gonna look here. So I know I wanna do my snow story, and I don't know what other stories I want to do, but I know I can do like my wrapping paper. Some of these other things I could probably make them ahead of time. The advent calendar is a good one to do pretty early on. I've already taken a photo of my advent calendar setup, so I'm probably gonna do that. That might be on day 3 or 4. I think it depends a lot on where snow is gonna be. So I'm gonna actually work on the snow page in advance and create kind of a foundation page. So I'm gonna do that because I kind of have a vision in my head. Well, actually, let me just trim this blue paper down first to I need 4.25 by 4.25. So doing this size album is actually giving me an opportunity to use some of my 6x6 paper stash up. I have quite a few from a long time ago that I purchased, and I don't use them very often. Okay, so in my craft planner, I'm making some notes here for December daily, and I sketched out this idea. So my plan is to write for snow on here. And I think what I'm gonna do is type for snow, and then I will handwrite on here more details, maybe with a label sticker, once I know what actually happens. And then I'm gonna add the number with like a sticker or a stamp once I know what day it actually is. I'm thinking it's gonna be 2, but it might be 3. What I do need to do though is I want to embroider some snowflakes on here. So I'm gonna figure out how to do that, and I'm gonna do that today. And I'm gonna work on that while I probably watch some TV or something. I'm not sure I'm gonna film the full process, but I will probably show you guys the setup initially. And then I'm going to check back in later in the week once I get some more of the album put together. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do for my sketch was add the words "for snow." And I wanna do that using my typewriter. Hopefully this will work. Getting a paper that's this small and thick through my typewriter is sometimes hard to do. Usually what I end up having to do is feed it through with another piece of paper. So I'm gonna put this one through. Okay, so a few things to think about this while working on this page. I don't know yet if this is going to be on the left or the right, so it's kind of a foundation page. And from my sketch, I think I want to do like a snowflake here and maybe one right here. I think that that's going to be good. I can't have them going off the edge, although that would look really cute because this is going to be embroidery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look online and try to figure out how to embroider a snowflake.
Okay, so I put this on super fast forward while I drew the snowflakes and put them together because this was very time consuming. I'm watching Gilmore Girls in the background and just enjoying this on this quiet Sunday. So what I did was I just drew these snowflakes. I Googled, imaged, embroidered snowflakes and saw a few pictures of ones and just kind of broke them down geometrically. I didn't use a pattern or anything. Instead, I just used my ruler. So it's not perfect. If I wanted it to be perfect, I would have drawn this on the computer to create a template that's actually measured out. I mean, obviously I used the ruler to get straight lines, and I tried to make each little segment 3/4 of an inch long and do like a little piece of the snowflake at each 1/4 of an inch, but it's never perfect, especially because I didn't use like a protractor or anything to get the angles right. So it's close. And then I'm just using my paper piercer to punch holes in each of the intersections. And then I'm going to embroider with white embroidery floss. So I'm using 6 strands of white embroidery floss. I just pull it through, tape it down on the back, And then I'm just going to embroider through each of these snowflakes. I am not going to film this entire process, partially because that would be a lot for you guys to watch, but also because it was easier to just kind of do it on my lap rather than under the camera on the desk. I also added in the French knots at the tip of each one of the snowflakes. That to me is the hardest piece, but I am a cross stitcher, so I don't embroider really, but I do cross stitch. So using a thread and needle is really not that foreign to me, something I do pretty frequently in my other hobby. So this kind of came a little naturally, although it was still a little bit difficult because I'm not used to stitching on paper or embroidery. So I don't really do French knots that much. I did have a little bit of a snag on the second snowflake. I had a part that when I tried to do the French knot, it kind of tore the paper a little bit, but I was able to salvage it and save it, and it ended up being fine. So I had a little bit of fun with this. This was definitely the most time-consuming piece of my album so far, but that's why I did it on November 30th and made it kind of a foundation page. Okay, so day 2 ended up being a snow day. I worked from home, so I didn't get a day off work. We don't really get snow days off work anymore now that telecommuting is so accessible. But I was able to be at home and have a little bit of extra time in the evening because I didn't work late like I normally do when I work from home, and didn't have my commute and all of that. So what I'm doing now is checking in with my journal and my album and everything. So in my Hobonichi Cousin, I do something different every week for the weekly spreads, and I decided for the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks, I guess, of December that are in my December daily, that I would use my Hobonichi Cousin weekly spread as a home for my journal for each day, my journaling for each day. So I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One, because I need a place to keep notes for this project, and this is a perfect spot for that. And second, I don't necessarily have time to work on this project every day, but I want to try to think about it. So even if I take a few minutes and jot something down in my journal, that's great. And then the last reason is because my album is so tiny, I'm not necessarily going to do a lot of journaling in it this year. And I feel like this can be a supplement to my album to include a little bit more of the story on some of the days as I feel like it. So here I'm writing in for days 2 and 3. Now it is December 2nd when I'm writing this, so obviously day 3 hasn't happened yet. But I know that I'm going to the office on day 3, and I know that because I took Tuesday as a snow day and everyone really had a snow day on Tuesday, day 3 is going to be so busy in the office because we're going to be trying to make up all the stuff we missed on Tuesday and our regular stuff for Wednesday. And because Thanksgiving was last week, we really are just a little bit behind on work in general. So I'm pre-doing day 3, and I decided that day 3 can be one of my filler stories, which is going to be my wrapping paper. Day 2 is the snow day, and I already did most of that on November 30th. You see my foundation page there. So I'm just going to do this simple spread of days 2 and 3. For day 3, I took a photo of my wrapping paper, and I just added it on my iPad to make it super bright white. It's on top of the white foam core board that I use for photos of my projects. And I just added a little bit of typing on there in Photoshop and printed that out. Then I'm going to just add some numbers quickly. So I added this 3 is a puffy number from December Daily. I believe that was from this year. And then I am going through the 2s. I'm going to go through the 2s for the snowflakes. First, I was thinking about adding an embellishment on here, and I believe I end up not adding anything. I'm trying to go super simple and minimal with this album, which is not my normal style. I would say I'm definitely not a maximalist, but I do tend to add a lot more to pages than your traditional minimalist, but I love the minimalist look, and I like kind of playing around with it in certain projects like that, or like this one. So this year, that is kind of my style that I'm going with. So I liked that flag right there, but I already stuck the 3 down, and I feel like I would have put it somewhere else if I was going to put a page flag on here. So I end up just not adding it and moving on. Oh no, I do add it. I just kidding. I ended up adding it and then just leaving it simple like that. I guess I can't not add embellishments, right? And then I'm going to work on day 2. So I'm just putting back all of these pieces from my collection that I have out on my desk, and I'm thinking about what I want on day 2. So I wanted to add a little bit of journaling. So I'm adding that I have a snow day, and I wrote that in there with my Tambo Funosuke on this label sticker. And there's a little bit of space left on there, and I'm leaving that because I want to put the total of the snowfall for the day. But this is the second while I'm working on this. It's still actively snowing at the time I'm working on this. I think it was probably around like 5 p.m. on the 2nd. And so I don't know the total yet. So I'm just going to add that in later. I pulled a black chipboard, or not chipboard, die cut 2, which I think was from the Week in the Life collection this year. And I added that on the day 2. I was straightening it a little bit. Sorry that is off camera. And then all I have left to do is punch my holes and get these in the album. Oh, I do end up adding a little chipboard piece on here as well, just to finish it off before adding both of these pages in the album. So they were definitely much simpler than day 1. As well, I guess day 2 wasn't, but the foundation page portion took more time. But what I did on this day really didn't take me that long at all. Okay, it is now December 4th, and I didn't have a chance to look at my album at all yesterday. I had a long day in the office, and now I'm thinking about what I want to plan in terms of the next few stories. So, let me grab my calendar. I did go ahead and print out this photo, and you can see I have one of my Christmas cards on here. I'm printing my Christmas cards at home. I made them myself this year, and I'm gonna just send those out. So I'm printing them on the extra paper as I print my photos for this project and Project Life and things, so that I can not waste that paper. But here is my photo from today. So let me just trim this better. Okay, so most years in my December daily, I do a simple page about my coffee. I am a huge coffee drinker. I drink lattes at home pretty much every single day, and I used to get Starbucks every day. So I used to do kind of the red cup story of the year. I did get a Starbucks red cup this year in November. I will actually get one while I'm in the city. I used to do that every single day, and it's just way too expensive, and honestly Starbucks isn't that great. So I started making my own lattes at home, and I love it so much. I have a mug collection. It's just part of my daily routine. When I go into the office, I use a travel mug, but I've been doing a photo like this pretty much every year since I've been making my lattes, and before that with my red cups. This year, so here's my calendar,
and I am going to New York City for work. So on the 17th, I will wake up in the city. So I will most likely get coffee out. I actually might not get Starbucks. I found another coffee place near my hotel that I'm probably going to try that day. But I went down in November and I got a red cup. And I took a photo of it. I could put it in here, but I don't know that I will. We'll see. So we're moving on from days 2 and 3. So actually, before I move on, I did add in 7.3 inches in here. So when I made this page, the snow was not done. I made it right after work and it was still snowing. So I didn't have a total yet for the snow count. And so I just went in and added that in this morning. And then on here, I'm just gonna grab a highlighter. So this day, that story's done. And then I did wrapping paper for day 3. And then I go down here and see, okay, first snow, we've already done that. Wrapping paper is already done. Home decor, I'm not gonna check it off because I might do another story about my decorations. Sometimes I do, like this was just about putting up the decor, but sometimes I'll do like a specific story about a specific piece of decor. So let me flip this. So for day 4, I'm thinking I wanna just do super simple and use this. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and put that together. So I'm just gonna write coffee. What am I writing an E for? Coffee and tree. And then let me just, so because I'm doing such a simple December daily this year, I'm not necessarily going to do a lot of longer stories or longer journaling. I'm going to put that elsewhere. I do need to trim this a little bit better. So I do have in my Hobonichi cousin, which I'll pull over in a second, and you already saw earlier in this video, I have this piece, this page, where I am writing out my stories. So I'm going to write here, okay. Now all I need is a number 4. Maybe I'll put some other decor, but I just want a 4 for on here. So let me grab my numbers. Let's see what we have. I'm realizing now I probably should not have adhered this down, so I could have like stapled my 4 on there, but it's too little too late for that. Because I was thinking I like this one, but I'm going to have to just use rolling adhesive, no stitching or staple, because I already adhered it down, but that's okay. You know what, I'm gonna use red line tape. Okay, so I'm just gonna look really quickly in my products and see if there's anything I wanna add on here. Like I could add Okay, so I got day 4 in here, so I'm just gonna mark that one off. And again, I'm working on this after work on a day that I work from home. And on Friday, I'm going into the office again, and I'm not gonna have time to work on this project at all. So what I'm thinking I wanna do is tell a story for day 5 that I can put together now. And then I will work on day 6 on Saturday and wrap up this video for the first 6 days. So in my brain, I'm just kind of thinking about how I want these things to go. So let me just close these quickly. For day 1, I knew I wanted to include this photo, and it was, you know, telling a story that had a little bit more to it. So I thought, you know, doing a full page spread made sense. I think I'm gonna do probably like half my stories will be like this, where there's 2 days in a spread, and many of them will also be a full spread. And some might even be a full spread with an insert, just depending on what I have to tell for that day. So the ones during the week while I'm working are simpler stories and simpler pages. Now for this one, I definitely could have paired it with a photo of the snow and made it bigger, but I'm trying to keep it super simple and easy this year. So that's where I'm getting to this one. So for day 5, I want something that's gonna go over here. And I was looking through these, and I definitely have like a photo of my advent calendar. I could have printed and put that here, but I just did, I guess I didn't, but I just did 2 photos, full page photos for the last 2 days. And I definitely will do at some point just 2 photos in a spread, but I'm wanting to use some of my papers. So I went through the stack, and I'm trying to think of a story that I could put on just a 4x4 piece of paper. And I'm thinking I want to do just like a currently list. So this isn't on here. Let me actually, so I'm going to highlight that. But now that it is December, I do have a few other stories I want to tell. So I want to include the story of our evening tea. That is just a new routine we have. And I just feel like it goes with the sentiment of the season and just part of our holiday season. I also want to do a puzzle. I'm planning on starting a holiday puzzle probably this weekend. And so I will probably use that as the story later probably in this last week when I finish the puzzle. I've done that in past December dailies. In past Decembers, I like to try to focus on just a slower pace in the winter and more time inside. So I'm thinking, you know, working on a puzzle is a great way to do that. I picked up a new holiday puzzle, so I will probably share more about that in a later video because I'm not going to do it yet. So for day 5 though, I'm thinking I want to do a currently list. So I'm just going to write that down here as a story, because I am trying to keep in mind that I only have 25 stories, and really these 2 are already taken up because it's going to be the story of our Christmas Eve and our Christmas Day. So I don't have that many spots to fill stories. I know I have my Christmas cookie baking here. This one is probably going to be about my New York City trip. One of these will probably be about work. That might be about work. Yeah, so I just need to fit all of these stories in somewhere, and I will run out of days at some point if I just keep doing them. If I just keep coming up with a new story each day, I won't fit all of these in. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so I'm wanting to pair a pattern paper here with this one. So, and I also pulled over some transparencies because I was thinking I could do a transparency divider. So I'm going to just leave those to the side now and think about what I want to use. I did pull these 2 patterned ones with presents because I love them, and I didn't use them in the year that they came out. These aren't from this year. I don't remember what year they're from, but I love them so much. I do want to use them in my album. So I'm thinking, okay, so I really like this one because I think it'll be easy to kind of write on. This one is busier, but it has the red. And then I like this one for some reason, even though it's not red. I'm thinking there were these bows this year. This is from a previous year. And I do like that these are red, but I don't love the way these papers, I don't know. This one, I really like this paper, but I don't think it goes with that one. So I'm gonna rule that one out. And I'm really deciding between these 3. These other pattern ones, it was just too much green. because this photo is more of a red focus, I kind of wanted to bring the red in, or at least a neutral. So I was thinking like this one and this one, how does that look on top of that? No, that's just too busy. On top of that one, it actually looks nice though. Or there's this one. I'm thinking I'm leaning towards using that one. So this is my plan, because I think this one I can actually just write directly on here. I think I'm going to do some stamping of a currently list and fill in some currently items. And then I'm going to make an overlay with this and put a number on it. So I'm going to actually put you guys on voiceover so this video is not insanely long, and get this one put together.
Okay, so the initial vision was to have one of these larger 5s on top of this transparency. And I loved the colorful 5 for what I'm going for this year with all the bright colors that I had on day 1. And I really wanted it to work, but I just didn't like how it looked next to the 4 page or on top of the white transparency. Instead, I really loved this like white. It's not vellum, it's plastic, but it looks like vellum, this white 5. So my plan is to put the white 5 on top of the overlay, and then I'm going to do some stamping on this background piece. So I am using the stamp platform, which I honestly don't think works that well, but I use it occasionally when I really want to make sure I get a good stamp, because you can always pull it up and then re-ink it if you need to. Thankfully, I didn't have to, so I don't have to worry about that. But what you did see me do was bring over my stamp organization binder. And if you're not familiar with the stamp organization system that I have, I do have a separate video on that. And I just have a catalog system for my stamps, so I'm able to find something pretty easily in my stash to use for whatever I need. So for this one, I wanted to do this currently stamp, and then I'm stamping some ing words, and I'm going to hand write an answer to them. And I end up doing reading, watching, working, and I can't remember what the last one is. We'll see here in a second what I end up doing. And I had intended to do listening, and I completely kind of spaced out on that and forgot. So I was looking for another one. I think what I end up doing is scrolling. And what I'm doing for that one is just going to be like, what am I doing on my phone, or actually my iPad at this point in time? And I'm going to just do some journaling. I practiced on this other card here, or this other piece of paper. I was just testing out my pens and decided to go with just my standard Univol 1 0.38 pen, which is the pen I've been using for a lot of my basic journaling when I just want a gel pen. And it worked really well, and I felt like it stood out enough on this darker background. So I'm just handwriting in some answers, and this is just a quick way to do an easy story that captures a little snapshot of what life looks like right now. Like, what am I currently reading? What am I currently watching? What have I been working on? I put 2 things for each. I put, for the working on, I talked about what I'm doing at work, and then what I'm working on at home, which is this project. So you can kind of use words like that and interpret them a couple different ways. And then for scrolling, I did the things that I am doing on my phone or iPad right now. And the next thing to do after this was to do the cover. So I guess the overlay with the 5. But before I did that, I wanted to add just like a little word phrase strip, just to add something else on here and kind of finish off the page. And then that page is going to be done. I put this in the album just to kind of see what it looks like, trying to decide which 5. I still have that colorful 5 out, which I wanted to use it, but I loved the way this one looked. And you could see me really like thinking about it a lot. And then I ended up going with the white one. But I still wanted to do something a little fun with it, so you'll see what I end up doing. First, I decided to put some red line tape to adhere it down. But before I did that, I decided to trace it backwards on some gray cardstock, because this is going to go on the back side of the transparency to kind of cover up the adhesive that you'll be able to see through. But once I put the red line tape down, I realized you can see it way too much even on the front, and I don't like it. So I'm going to tear it back up, and then I'm going to use some rolling adhesive and kind of strategically place some chipboard on top of it. You'll see that in a little bit. Okay, so I wanted to do something fun on the back. And what I decided to do was play with some of the word phrase strips. This is a good way to use up a lot of them, especially if you're getting close to the end of a sheet and you want to just kind of use it up, or use words or phrases that you might not use that frequently. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. These are newer sheets, so I'm not trying to use them up per se, but I'm just using up more of the sentiments because I do have quite a big stack of Christmas word phrase strips, and I want to make a dent in my products this year. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of stacking them on the back here and creating a pattern. And I'm just making sure to cover up every single piece of the number, and it's backwards because it's going to go on the back side of the transparency. I'm just using a scrap piece of plastic behind it so that the stickers don't stick to my desk, but they're not sticking because it's plastic, they won't stick that well. So it's very easy to kind of pull it up. And I'm just going to cut around it using the 5 that's the background as a template, and just cutting off all of these extra pieces of sticker, and those will just go in the trash. I'm just piling them up there. I was trying to mess with the zoom. I apologize for that a little bit there, but I wanted to show you a little bit more closely what I was working on here. It's always hard when I'm working on these projects to know how much to zoom in, because I know you can get a better visual if it's closer, but then a lot of times things end up off camera. So like this, like me cutting it out right there. But I'm going to just go ahead and finish this up and put it on the back of that transparency, and that will wrap up my day 5. Hi, okay, so I'm back. It is now December 6th. So I have days 1 through 5 done. And yesterday on the 5th, I did not work in here at all. I made this one on the 4th, and I was at work. It was a long office day. I had 0 time in my craft room. But today is Saturday, and so I have more time to craft. And because of that, I plan to do a full page spread. And so let's check in with all of my things. So here's my calendar. And I completed my currently page. And then today's the 6th. What I decided to do for today is cozy hobbies. So I wanted to pick a story of something that actually kind of happened today. And what came to mind is it's super cold where I live. So we had that big snowstorm on the 2nd, and the snow is not melted. We have snow piled up outside. It was 3 degrees yesterday when I got to the office in the morning. It is still pretty chilly today, so it is a good day to just stay inside. And so that's what I plan to do. And I've been working on a puzzle. I picked up a new puzzle for Christmas. Here's the top of it. This is from Gallison Puzzles. I have a few of them, and I ordered a couple new puzzles. One of them, this one being a Christmas themed one. I really like doing puzzles in the winter or just in the colder months. It's a great relaxing hobby. But my boyfriend does not enjoy puzzles, but he needs some indoor hobbies too, and he recently got into Legos. So he was working on putting together a Lego thing, and I was working on my puzzle, and I thought that that would be a very good story for today's just the cozy winter hobbies. And so I took top-down photos of what we were working on, and I'm thinking I'm going to put a his and a hers on each of those with some alpha stickers. And then I want to do some sort of insert in the middle to include my number 6, my title, something about like cozy hobbies, and then probably a little bit of journaling. I might want the journaling to be hidden
just to keep it super simple. I'm not entirely sure how I want to do it. I was thinking like I could use the 6 from the advent calendar as an insert, maybe make it smaller. Or I could do maybe some vellum or something like that so that you can peek through, because I kind of want you to be able to see both of them, the his and hers together. So maybe like a vellum insert, a little pocket or something. I'm not sure yet. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the his and hers part first. So let me actually grab some alphas. So my absolute favorite alpha stickers are these Kelly Perky ones. And I stocked up on so many sheets before she went out of business because I was going to be super upset that they weren't available anymore. But essentially I just kind of go through them in order because you use the letters at different speeds. And this way I will eventually use up the first sheet when I use like some J's, Q's, X's, Z's, and then numbers. I don't use them as much for numbers. Let's see, we need an E and an R in the middle. Okay. Next, I need to adhere this one back to back with this and punch the holes, and then punch the holes on that one. Then I'm going to figure out how I want to do my insert. So there's that. Now what I need to do is my insert, but before I work on that, I'm going to just update a few things. So this is my cozy hobbies here. I'm just going to make a note that I kind of told the story of my puzzle. I'm thinking at some point later in this project, I might do like a picture of the completed puzzle as one of my days, just as a very simple story. But for now, I think I'm checking it off, or at least putting like a half slash, because it means I've addressed that story. I don't need to do it again. I do know I need to do my advent calendar one soon. I took that picture earlier in the month before I started opening the advent calendar pieces. Oh, I want to trim this down to be perfect, better edge there. But I do want to do that story fairly soon. So I'm just kind of looking ahead a little bit. I'm going to wrap this video up today so that I can share this one with you guys early next week with days 1 through 6. I'm already worried it's going to be a little bit of a long video, but yeah, let me know if you like the way I'm formatting these videos, and I'm trying to give you a little bit behind the scenes of like how I fit this in. So then let's also check in here. So what I did here was I started to do my journaling for this, and I said I'm putting it in here so I don't need to do it. I'm just going to write the words that I decided to use. We're working, scrolling, and I meant to do listening and I didn't. I just completely forgot. And then for today, I am going to write cozy hobbies. And I think I'll do a little bit of journaling on here about that, just to kind of get my brain set around kind of what I want to write in here. And then I will work on that. But I'm going to put you guys on voiceover / music while I do that, because this video I think is already getting super long, and get that one put together. And then I'll probably do a quick flip through at the end of the video of all 6 pages that I've done so far.
Okay, so I made a few mistakes while working on this, and you're going to see the first one here pretty quickly. But essentially, what I decided to do was I wanted to stamp cozy hobbies. And you can see there when I stamped out hobbies, there was not enough space on the vellum. So I started over, totally fine. I moved the washi tape over. But my plan is to stamp out cozy hobbies using this alpha set from Ali Edwards. This is one of the Alphas Are Awesome series that comes out every month. I can't remember how many months ago this was, but it was pretty recent. I really liked this one a lot. I think it might be my favorite one that we've had so far. I wish that there were some smaller alphas because I don't have as much space to use these big ones, but I love how they look. And so what I did was I stamped it on the vellum, and it's going to go sideways on the page because I didn't think that hobbies would fit horizontally. And then I'm lining the edge with this snowflake washi tape because it was kind of like a cold indoor day, and that's really like the winter season. And it doesn't actually need the washi tape there. I just wanted something, and I'm going to punch the holes through it, and that'll just be kind of like an edge. And that's going to go in here. I'm just looking at what it will look like, but I wanted to add a little bit more. I wanted more of the story. So even though I could have left this super minimal with just the his and hers, and it would have been fine. And part of me kind of wishes I did do that because I want it to be so simple this year, but I'm still me. And I'm not a super minimalist, so I wanted something else. So I found a journaling card. I went through the stash of journaling cards. You can see I'm trying a few different ones and seeing what they look like through this vellum, because my thought is to add a 3x4 card on the back of this, and you'll be able to see part of it through. And I end up going with this like star pattern that I think is from one of the Liz Tamanaha mini kits, not from this year because I didn't get it this year, but one of the most recent years. I think I've gotten it the last couple of years. Those kits look very similar to me, so it's hard for me to remember which year it's from, but I'm pretty sure it's from one of those. And my thought is to use this to make a little pocket, and I'm going to put this tag in there. And I don't remember, I think this tag was from Layered Life, which was a brand that was around for a very short time, but it's just a cute little tag. And what I'm doing is creating a vellum pocket on just a scratch piece of vellum. And what I'm going to do is take it over to my sewing machine. I just did it there. And I'm stitching it down onto this card just to create a little 3x4 pocket. And then the tag is going to sit inside the pocket. The back of this, you're going to be able to see through on the side with the text. You'll see really quickly there, I just adhered it, and it will be able to flap open like that. I adhered it a little bit so that it wouldn't, mostly because I just need it to stay together because it is outside the page protector. And then I added a gold thicker for the 6 on there, and then put this tag in the pocket. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to add this little bow, which I think was from last year, on the outside there. And then I went over to my stash of ribbon and found a gold ribbon and just stapled it inside there. And I'm just going to do a little bit of journaling to wrap this day up. And that will be how this one comes together. I'm going to speed this up a lot while I'm doing my journaling, but essentially it's just about the 2 cozy hobbies that we are doing in these pictures, and just how much I actually am enjoying having cozy hobby season, something I didn't necessarily like when I was younger, and I always just dreaded winter, but now I see the positives in the season. So that's wrapping up day 6. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up this video and just show you guys quickly what I've done so far. So I have my cover page and my reason why, which I created in my previous video prior to December. And then I have December 1st, which is decorating the house. The 2nd was our snow. The 3rd was wrapping gifts and our wrapping paper. 4 was just a simple photo of my coffee with the tree. 5 was my currently list. And then 6 are our cozy hobbies. So this is how this one came out. I have the his and the hers. And I just have this little insert here with a tag with my journaling on the back. I feel like then you can also do this. You can see both of them, but I like that there's just a little bit more going on for this story. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I would love to hear your feedback on how you liked this format, and hopefully I will have another update for you guys in about a week. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.